In today's video, we're going to be heading over to the job site to finally install those barn beams that we built and lugged over there and join them together and do everything at the scene, custom cutting them, fitting them, making the end caps. Let's head over to the job site and go do it. All right, grab a tape measure and your tool belt and bring a ladder. I'm going to need an extra set of hands. All right, let's go. Okay, so I have the two beams up on the work supports that I made, and now I have the glue blocks that I'm going to be using for the sides on the inside, and I still have to join them with dominoes. So right now, they're just sitting apart. Put the dominoes in the glue, we'll join them together. I'll clamp them on the squash blocks I have inside, and then these will screw on the inside to hold it in place as another mechanical bond. So right now I'm just pre-drilling where the screws are going to go. Ready? Start coming towards me. There we go. Okay. Alright, so now we're going to roll the beam over so that I can work on the seam with the restoration tool, and we'll leave the clamp in place. Alright, pull it towards you a little. Okay. Roll it again. Ready? One more time. Pull it towards you. Okay, and just like that. So now I have the seam exposed, and now the restoration tool is going to level everything out, and this will become one complete piece. I have the restoration tool hooked up to the vacuum with an IVAC switch, so as soon as I turn on the tool, the dust collection will activate. Now, to make sure I keep everything smooth and level and flush and coplanar, I'm using a combination of the restoration tool and a hand plane. Alright, so now that I hit the seam with the restoration tool and the block plane, I'm just going to put a little bit of dark walnut wood filler, and this is just going to be sanded away. Now let this dry for about an hour until it gets rock solid, and once it does, I'll hit it again with the wire wheel. Alright, so the seam's blended together now. I'm going to take the torch and burn it a little bit to go back over that whole area where the original burn marks were, and I ripped them off a lot with the wire wheel so that everything was completely flush. So if you look here, it's just one seamless piece, and we got the wood filler in there, it hardened up, and then we sanded it off the outside so it's only in the middle at the seam. So once I burn this again, it should blend together real nice and appear to be one seamless piece. This is a 24-foot run, and it's going to be a little heavy and awkward, but the joint itself is rock solid. We lifted it up and there was no give in the middle, and that's due to not only the glue blocks but also the dominoes in there acting as the floating tenons, so that adds a lot of strength. Okay guys, so this may be a little difficult to see behind me because the lighting is a little dim, but I got some natural light in here, so hopefully it's coming through on the lens pretty clear, so hopefully you guys can see it pretty good. So my son helped me get it in place here. We set up the baker scaffold right in the middle. We rested it on there. We were able to get it right onto the nailer boards and then put those third hands in place. You can see the 4 poles. That's what's holding it up right now. And once I have it scribed to the ceiling, which is what I'm going to do now, I'm going to make a scribe line along the ceiling because there are ever so slight gaps because of the waviness of the sheetrock and the joint compound, and also the beams and joists underneath. They help create that problem also because they're not always, they have a crown, and sometimes if it's facing down, it will belly the sheetrock. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pencil or scribe tool, I'm going to run it along the ceiling, and that's going to follow the contours of the ceiling while making the same mark and transferring that onto the beam. Then we're going to take the beam down, and I'm going to use either the restoration tool with the drum sanding attachment, or I'm going to use a flat disc on a grinder and just sand it right down to that line. And then this will suck it up right to the ceiling once we put it back in place. And that's the goal, to make as little gaps as possible. With a little help, they decided, I convinced them a little bit, to do a little more torching, to make it a little more brown. And that's what they decided they're gonna go with instead of putting a dark walnut stain. So what you see right now with that, that Brendel type with the burning is still gonna be there. I'm just gonna make it a little bit darker with the torch again, so that it will highlight that even more. All right, so I got the beam close to in place where it's going to be. I already did a dry fit to the ceiling, and the scribing is perfect, so it's nice and tight. I'm going to put construction adhesive along the nailer board. Once I do that, and then we'll suck it back up to the ceiling, nail it in place, and put some screws to really hold it in. Now that I have the beam in place, I'm just going to install it with some trim head screws, and that's going to really hold it in place while the PL adhesive sets. I'm using trim head screws on this because they leave just a tiny hole that we can fill, plus it adds the strength besides the nails, and they don't need to be pre-drilled. Now to close in the steel post or the lollipop, I'm going to cut the bevels on the MFT, and then I'm going to use miter spring clamps to hold it in place while I tack it in with brads. Now to completely close it in, I'm going to install the last piece and then tack nail it off. Get the third hands up.
Let me know when you're ready.
Yeah, go ahead. You're ready to hold it. Okay, here we go. You ready? You'll end up first, same way as before. Don't forget there's the adhesive on there, so try not to get on your hands. All right, hold on. There we go. You'll end up. Okay, good? Yep. All right. Same way as before, I'm going to have to force up to one side here. All right, get the one side up. Sides up, I'll come to you. All right, come down and let me do what we did before. Hold on to this third hand, okay?
Is it a line? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. You got it? Okay. Ready? Ready? Go ahead. All right, wait. Let me get the pry bar out. Yeah, go ahead. Keep going.
That should be it.
That's it.
You got it.
Right there. All right. What is that?
Here.
I'll get this one. Right here, right? A little more over towards me.
There.
Yeah, right there. That's gonna be. Okay guys, so here's just a quick little shot of everything up close. We have everything installed. The painters came in. We were finally able to take off the paper masking they put on. You could see right here in this section where the seams are, all the beams are going to have this iron strap. It's actually made of rubber, but it looks like steel. It just looks awesome. Beams go right into the crown molding on the side of the cabinets. And I didn't put the rubber strap on this one yet, that iron piece, but it's very hard to even find the seam because of the way we did it and the burning and everything. But those iron straps, they really do give it a lot of character. All right, everybody, well, that's it. That was a really fun project. It was really challenging because those beams were so massive, and fitting them in custom into certain spots and having to cut out areas of the crown molding, fitting it around that lally column, that steel post that was there that we had to close in. That was probably the most challenging part. But in the end, it just turned out great, and the owners of the house, the customers, they loved it. So now stick with me, because in the next video, you can see behind me here, we're making the floating shelves for the kitchen. I don't know if in some parts of the video you might have seen the cutouts. Well, that's where the frames are going to go inside the tiles there, and these are going to slip over those frames. So that's going to be in the next video. And as you can see, they're going to be made out of white oak, and simple design here. You can see the cutout on one side. So what's going to happen is those are going to go into the wall in a corner, and they're going to sit out, and the end's going to be exposed like this. So that's why we have it set up like that. So you can see these other two that I'm working on right now. I still have to build one more, but I have filled all the nail holes with that, so I got to sand that down and do the finishing on them all at the same time. Once we're done with that, we can start moving on to the barn doors. That's going to be a custom build all out of knotty alder. That's going to be really cool. All right, guys, so if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and also hit the picture of a notification bell next to the subscribe button there. That will notify you every time I upload a video. All right, hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time on site as well, and half in the shop building the floating shelves. Take care.